Hello everybody, welcome. Today we are watching a Master Scrims on the King's Row. We'll be watching two of these guys, two matches at least on the attack. This one is the first one on King's Row. It's Master Scrim. Let's hop on into this. What we're gonna see mostly in this scrim, what we're gonna learn is something that I see a lot being done wrong as well in my scrims. It's something you need to figure out at the higher levels especially, is not making fully use of the advantage that the attackers have right here on the first point, which basically is that their spawn is really close by, and them being capable of actually switching to whatever the hell they want to try and deal as efficiently as possible with what the enemy is running over here. As we can see, they're both opting to go for a little bit more of the tank heavy comp. Both have the triple tank trio. Basically, the enemy has a D.Va with them, a Zarya and the Reinhardt as the tanks over here, and then basically only as their DPS they have a Junkrat. Now, as the healers, of course, the Moira and the Lucio. Very, very standard. Okay, and now as the attacking force, basically what they are running with is a Reinhardt Zarya combo, so that's already good. They have opted to go with the Roadhog instead of the D.Va, so it's a little bit less easy for them to go after the people that might be a little bit out of position to clean those kills up. They might have to send Lucio in for those kills. He's a little bit less mobile. He can't take the high grounds as much if they do. If the enemy has opted to put down like maybe a soldier or something on the high ground, maybe there's an Ana or a Zen somewhere hidden on the high ground. That happens sometimes. And it's a little bit harder for them to reach. It's not impossible, of course, to run this composition, and it's a valid composition to start rolling out with, just in case you don't know what the enemy has at the first push. Basically, what they want to try to do with the Reaper that they've chosen to run here is really just pre-planned a route somewhere where they can go. They could even have gone right through here. There's the other exit over here through this little choke to avoid the spam of the Junkrat that's being thrown at them right now. Obviously, they do not have as much spam damage, maybe only the Zarya, but that's not as much, so they could avoid a little bit of extra damage by going through here if they really wanted to with this composition. Anyway, the Reaper Roadhog, so what they basically want to kind of try to do, they have a couple of options. Either they want to really run into the face of the enemy team, which is a little bit dangerous because they do have the Junkrat here, of course, so it's going to make it very difficult for them. But also, they do have the Roadhog, so if they do manage to get a hook early on onto the D.Va, that's going to be really good. The only thing they have to watch out for, of course, is the Zarya that might throw down a projected barrier on top of the D.Va, and then actually save her and the D.Va being able to jump backwards. So I'll have to watch out for either Zarya using her projected barrier for trying to gain energy, or the D.Va using her rocket boosters so she can't fly away afterwards. And then you can actually just burn the shield of the Zarya, and then before she gets her recharged, the jump recharged, you can take her down, and then you get the initial advantage using the Roadhog hook here. But this does require your Roadhog to actually land that hook. You can land it on other people as well, of course. Like, it doesn't matter too much who you land it on, but the D.Va probably the best one, just because she can't matrix for herself as she's being dragged in, and if anybody else is being dragged in, they would have the Zarya and the D.Va there to kind of peel for that person, right? So the D.Va probably the best target for that. Anyway, let's try to hop on into this and see how this kind of develops. So first of all, what I noticed, by the way, I've went over these games beforehand. What I noticed at the start was that you guys were very late with calling which way you were going to go with the Reaper as well. Oh, that's not the right one. Here we go. There we go. That's what I want. With the Reaper, like I said, so you can rotate around the statue over here, or you can go straight through the point, or you could go through the through Hotel. Hotel wouldn't be the best choice. Obviously, they do have a Junkrat, so that's going to be very constricted space. Probably your best bet would just be to go straight for it, or even just to go around the statue. Either one of those choices would have been fine. You do have to decide where you're going to go, though. Let me lower this actually a little bit more before you actually get over here. So now you guys are a little bit staggered, and this is maybe why your Lucio is a little bit slow. He's not as close by the Reinhardt as he possibly could be. We also see the Reaper a little bit scattered off with the team. You really want the Reaper next to the Reinhardt so he doesn't take any damage. He just stays behind his shield and then, you know, get in people's faces. Unfortunately, your Lucio dies here. As soon as your Lucio died, you shouldn't call out to retreat as quickly as possible. It takes you guys a little while to recognize this. Unfortunately, your Roadhog also getting pushed away. So yeah, you guys do realize it afterwards and retreat here. Your Zarya actually a little bit funky with her movement. Probably could have walked straight backwards to there. A little bit unnecessary poking here. Actually does cast her as well. Okay, so basically what you guys could have realized right now is that, first of all, if you recognize the enemy composition, let's talk about their weaknesses, right? So their weakness would really be anything longer ranged or anything that can fly. Like a Pharah would completely wreck this, right? Or even a Hanzo or a Widow or a Soldier. Like dive would actually work against this composition, just because they don't have anything. As long as you have something long ranged running with the dive, they don't have anything to really contest that. So what you could have done is set up a Widow somewhere here, or as you're pushing in, you can try to clear this high ground area for your longer range DPS, and just spam the shield from afar. And then as they, you know, what does the enemy really have to contest that? It's basically only the D.Va. If the D.Va tries to jump in, she's gonna have to do it by herself. The entire team of yours can just collapse on that one D.Va. You shut her down, and then, you know, it's open season for your long range DPS. Unfortunately, you guys don't realize this in time, and it becomes very hairy for you guys here. You just try to keep running with this comp. I mean, this comp with the Reaper and the Roadhog. I mean, it's doable, but the Junkrat, it makes it very difficult, just because, you know, he does not allow you to really go in there into the face, and everybody will just get scattered upwards, and you know, well, you know how Junkrat works. He's really good against people that try to run into his face, especially if you try to do it in a big ball, right? So if you he's a little bit better at this composition than the Reaper is, in my opinion. But yeah, I think I did hear you guys call it out as well. The Pharah would have been an amazing pick here, and you guys would have taken this probably for sure, just because, you know, the defenders cannot change their composition once they've committed to this composition. So their composition was really basically specifically meant to take down the composition you guys were running with. They kind of expected you guys to run this composition, and you guys never adjusted. That's probably the biggest mistake right here. I can talk a little bit more about like how dive would actually work with this. Even with a Hanzo, right? If you do have a Hanzo over here, he just keeps poking on the shield, or you know, if they do try to hold here, you can have Hanzo further back on the bus or whatever. Even up somewhere on this balcony, of course, you can slowly start going over here if they're rolling over here. Yeah, there's multiple ways, and then you just keep pushing them backwards. You keep gaining the advantage from afar. And if you have dive, tank, and other DPS like Genji or something, they can try to jump up to this high ground, slowly surround. They don't have anything to jump up on that high ground with you. You just gotta watch out to keep avoiding the junk spam, of course.
No, like straight away. Yeah, we just lost big man. Do you want to go up top? Do you want to go up top? Because then they can't all spam us so easily.
Alright. Going up top here, you don't really have a reason to go up top here and then try to go around. I mean, the only reason I can think of really is that maybe when, you know, once you drop down, you're a little bit closer to them, but you should be able to get through here with the Rhine shield in time anyway. Going through here will actually allow the Junkrat spam to be very, very efficient against your comp. Also, the Fire Strike from the Reinhardt. I mean, they do already have their ultimate, so like they probably could have been even quicker with their ultimate use here and shut you down as you're trying to go through here. But they don't choose to do so, and you guys actually mess this up a little bit yourself.
Wait, give me a second. No shield. Wait for Junk's up. Okay, that's Junk's 5. Go. Speed.
So here actually we see Lucio just barely not close enough to the rest of the team. So I think the Rhino was a little bit too quick with running out, or messing up his jump here a little bit. He almost reached, but
What wasn't cool though? I thought I said. Fuck.
Should have called it so loudly.
I did.
Okay, so now you guys kind of get punished. Actually, now we see a big mistake from the enemy team is that they do not realize that this Roadhog, or they don't realize in time that the Roadhog is taking a backwards position. So that's really good for you guys, and it's gonna create this opening. Like they all retreat now back to the point, and the Diva actually realizes now, like, wait, hold up, there should still be something there, and goes looking for it. Also, the Diva and the Mara, both of them, go looking for this Roadhog. So at this time, they don't have a main heal, and if you guys just speed boosted in with Coalescence at this point, all you had to watch out for really was the Shatter, right? Or, yeah, the Shatter. They could have had Grav as well, just because of how poorly your fight went. The two fights, actually. And the enemy team was a little bit too passive as well at the first engagement. They could have gone in a bit more aggressive, but they didn't. So they don't have that much ultimate charge on the Zarya, but yeah, you definitely want to watch out for the Reinhardt Shadow at this point. You should probably call that out as well. Watch out for Shatter and Grav. Again, right, you can't really do a lot about the Shatter, or I mean the Grav. You can hold the Shatter with the shield, of course. The Grav can be eaten by a Diva if she's on top of things, but unfortunately you guys aren't running a Diva, of course, so that's kind of already negated anyway. But still, there's two really big units for the enemy team being traded over here for only one of your units. So if you guys just ran in here, bubbled your Reinhardt as you're going in, you could try to get a charge on the enemy Reinhardt, but it's probably just better to try and collapse on them and try to target down one person here with all your team and lose your speed, as the enemy is still over there. So you guys do go in very aggressively. I'm really surprised actually that Shadow did not hit anybody. So we're not hearing a lot of targeting over here, which is probably the biggest problem I'm having with this. Also, as soon as this Diva bomb gets thrown upwards, and lands over here, the Reinhardt is a little bit too passive, going backwards. Could have walked more towards it and you know, provided a bigger service area for people to be safe behind. Unfortunately, also, like, look, the Reaper and the Roadhog are both trying to go over here. The Reaper actually walks into a Junkrat trap as well and gets stuck there. But they're not really gaining a lot of value here. That probably would have been a lot better if they stayed more with the Reinhardt and then either targeted down the mini Diva or the Reinhardt behind them. And then just stay as a big death ball, basically, because that's what this comp does best. And because they did walk away a little bit too much, the Roadhog actually gets punished by the Diva bomb, and the Reaper, now stuck in the trap, will have to do a big retreat over here. He's gonna go through Hotel, and that's just gonna kind of equalize this fight again for the enemy team, because the Reaper is gonna be out of combat for this long. So if you guys played this correctly, and the Reaper and the Reinhardt, or the Reaper and the Roadhog would have stayed with the Reinhardt, you guys probably wouldn't even have to need this Shatter to eke out a win here for your team. Unfortunately, now with the way this is going, that was terrible, by the way. Let's go back 1 second. I really didn't like this charge from Reinhardt. This kind of also messes up the game for you. He charges in much too deep. He could have charged more towards this corner, gotten a shorter one, and then still be able to block off damage from over here while the Junkrat is spamming through. Right now he didn't gain much value because he did try to charge over here. And again, you don't have a Diva or the Roadhog to try and clean up the mini Diva that's going to come out of here, and your Reinhardt is going to get preoccupied doing this. We're also going to see the Reaper actually try to come in very late, still low HP. Not calling out that he's low, I think, and any of the healers responding to that, because they are busy right now with the Reinhardt. Anyway, yeah, let's just see this play out a little bit longer. So yeah, the Reaper dies here to the Junkrat spam, because you know, it wasn't being blocked off, and Reaper unfortunately caught unaware. It happens, it is avoidable even without the Reinhardt shield, of course, but unfortunately this did happen. The Reinhardt is going alone now to deal with the mini Diva, which is also kind of an iffy thing. It would have been better to have a Lucio do this, or you know, he's a little bit quicker with going in and out, or a diva of course, a bit more mobile. Oh, hold up. My bad. Okay. So yeah, and now they actually get a big chance to come back here. Just with this this big grav and then the Junkrat just throwing all his spam into it. Unfortunately, you don't have Zarya bubbles anymore either. Let me see if I forgot anything. We're at 27. Diva bomb. Moira heal ball. Oh yeah, well, yeah, like right before the shatter as well, we saw Moira trying to shoot the healing ball for the Rhine. Unfortunately, it was just eaten barely. So a little bit of a mistiming there, which would have maybe saved your Reinhardt from dying too quickly over here, or at least get some people back to full HP again. So yeah, just a bit of unfortunate as well. Like the Moira, instead of continuing to heal, went off to kill the Junkrat. The Junkrat actually already dies before the Reinhardt gets a pin on him. So it probably would have been better for the Reinhardt to try and pin a Zarya, or you know, just be closer to the rest of this team really by not charging off that far and then going to solo kill something. Anyway, so yeah, Moira also probably would have been better to just stay closer to the team and just keep healing. So then Roto comes back in again, gets a bit of ult charge. Now you just want to retreat again. I mean, they are low HP, that's fine. It might have even been better, right, if you kept Diva Mini in this case, because it did go bad again. Nah, she probably would have got the mag back anyway. It's alright. So, okay. Alright, now this is a big opportunity. You got a lot of ultimates. They just used Grav, of course. And you got the Reaper ult and Zarya ult right here, both ready to be popped. Would be a great combo. Just make sure that the Reaper and the Zarya are behind the Reinhardt shield together with the rest of the team. You go in with all the Reinhardt shield HP. You move this short distance as soon as it's all fully charged again, or this distance. It doesn't matter too much. I guess around the statue is a little bit safer, just because there's usually a Junkrat trying to go through here. And he's going to spam your back line if you do leave it open like that. So if you walk through here, it's usually a little bit safer for you're a little bit safer for this area, because your back line is already over here, and the Junkrat would have to commit a lot longer for a flank, or he would have a less efficient flank. Alright, so yeah, now you basically just want to stay as a group and try to get that combo going with the Grav and the Reaper ult, right? Unfortunately, what you guys decide to do, Reaper's going to go for a solo play, and he's going to try to go for a big flank. And yeah, let's just see this play out.
Alright, go door and then go up. No, just go forward. Just push them.
So push them is called. There goes the Reaper. We see their Junkrat also, by the way. You could have noticed that their Lucio obviously also never used his beat. And they still have that available, so you know, even if you do get the Grav, you still need a lot of damage inside of the Grav to really take him down and take advantage of this. Also, their Junkrat has a new tire. Just expect like a tire, if not each fight, just almost one every 2 fights, right? There's no way he's not going to get less than that, because you are running this tank heavy composition. Okay.
Junk first.
Fire in the hole. So very unfortunate here. Your Reaper actually, I think he did have an opportunity to take down the tire and then also the Junkrat from close range. He did not use his shift to get in either, so even without taking him down, he also missed his shift to get away. So that's kind of a big play that he missed there. And now, of course, he's also not available for the Grav to combo with it. What happens within the Grav as well, like, it's still not completely lost. You still have some opportunities here. Your Rodok is not focusing it. Your Reinhardt already charged off into this location and is now kind of going to be forced to focus down these people here already in the face of the Diva, so he has the shield for that and incapable of really attacking this location. Now what we see, actually let me, okay, so yeah, he also just used his Fire Strike if I'm not mistaken there. Let's look for the Ryan's Fire Strike. So yeah, he charges up there, and he uses his Fire Strike right before you actually use the grav, just on one single target. Obviously, Fire Strike is a great tool to use as soon as multiple people are actually in the grav. Now your Reinhardt is off here trying to fight 2 people. If he had stayed more towards this side, he could have probably just been on this side of the grav and got a charge off like this. He would have had a quick turnaround to continue beating them. As soon as he, charged one person, that person might have even been sucked into the grav again. He would have been able to use a Fire Strike easy on these targets and just keep swinging and actually take these people down. So he still had a good chance here, really, but unfortunately, because of this, not targeting on these people, it became very difficult, and you guys actually lose this fight again.
Didn't get shit with the grav, so.
Let me read up actually on my notes whether I'm forgetting anything. Yeah, also what you could have done obviously is with the grav, just wait for a couple of seconds. You guys went in, we can go back to that point actually. Right as you're kind of over here. Your Mario is only 17% away from ult, right? So just sealing this amount of damage up would already give her ult, the amount of damage you guys have right now. And if she did actually use ult as well together with the grav, it would have just gone better, right? But yeah, there was no communication about what you were going to use to combine with the grav to really kill the people, except for I think the call was made to use grav with barrier. And obviously, as the people are being graved, it's a lot more difficult for them to do as much damage as they normally would. So your sound barrier was also kind of a little bit wasted, in my opinion. Unless if the Rhine actually did commit fully to just be in the face of these guys and just swing close by. But yeah, then he kind of could have traded damage there and equally. But I would have liked to see this sound barrier come out a little bit later. As we can see, nobody was really in any danger yet, except for maybe the Reinhardt, that because he charged off a little bit too aggressive. What else? So yeah, the coalescence 99% now, and you just use your grav. So if you had waited for that coalescence just a little bit, it would have been even easier to take down the people in the grav. And also, maybe you wouldn't even have to use sound barrier at that time, right? Because then you would have the coalescence to sustain your Reinhardt as he's on top of the grav, and you would continuously do damage to everything within the grav as well at the same time. So that would have actually been probably the best choice, using the Zarya grav with the Reaper ult and then coalescence, if you guys had farmed up coalescence just a little bit.
Nothing to swing at.
And then if the fight went bad again, for example the Reaper or whatever the tire is being used, you can still use sound barrier. You probably, well, like the tire was like kind of the rough thing here for them, of course, or really the thing that could bring it back for them. And it did so just by killing the Reaper this time. But even just by killing the Reaper, it shouldn't have been a complete deal breaker yet for you guys with the amount of ultimate you had. Okay. So yeah, now you guys have one more attack. You have coalescence. You have you still have the Reaper ult. You still have Rodok ult. Shatter is about to be available for you guys. So right here, that's one thing I wanted to note as well. Shit. I think that's a hotkey that I might need to get familiar with, not using that much. Alright, so what I've noticed here, the Reinhardt is going in already, of course. You still have 30 seconds, so there's no need to rush this much. You should have waited for your Zarya. Zarya, obviously a character that needs to charge up before she can do optimal damage. And you guys are going in with the first set of barriers over here. Obviously, every time you want to use the Zarya optimally, you want to use one round of barriers just to charge up. and it should be a lot easier for your Zarya to charge up, just because they have a lot more spam damage in the Junkrat, and you guys have the Reaper, which is a little bit more precise and only really occurs when you're right on top of their face. So from far away it's a lot easier for you guys to farm up your energy on the Zarya. So you want to use one round of barriers, and then you wait for the second round, and that's when you start going in with a full charge Zarya. And then those the second set of barriers are kind of your playmaking barriers.
Back shield, back shield, back shield.
So again, some barriers that, or shadows that for some reason don't hit anything.
Back shield.
We see a straightforward D.Va bomb, and again your Reinhardt is just off in the distance, not being able to really protect anyone from the D.Va bomb. So yeah, it was just a bit too aggressive again, and
I hooked a fucking trap.
That's right. That's a feels bad.
and yeah. So that last attack kind of was you guys being impatient. You still have time right now. You don't have time for another attack, obviously. And yeah. Well, with the way you guys went in, it was kind of already it was going to go very difficult for you. It was going to be very, very difficult if you wanted to pull that one out. And yeah. Again, right, if you guys had noticed their composition a little bit earlier and switched off this heavy tank composition you guys were running, and maybe went for something longer range, maybe a Pharah Mercy, and then just poke from afar, force them to come onto you, and then as they come onto you, they really only have the D.Va, of course, to contest the high grounds, or to fly upwards and try and deal with a Pharah. That's when you guys can take down the D.Va very easily. It's very easy to just hook the D.Va then as she's flying upwards, or you know, she's gonna have to fly straight to hit that Pharah, and it's easier to hook that time. If you still wanted to opt to run the Roadhog. But yeah. Like, we've seen multiple Overwatch League teams do this, right? Where you actually see the multiple longer ranged characters, and then also I think mostly it's Zarya Reinhardt still, that just kind of go forward slowly with the Rein shield and then push towards the point. You could even have a Zenyatta or an Ana somewhere on the high ground as well. That could also work. But then, yeah, you can't, you know... You could have switched to a composition that counters the enemy composition, instead of trying to run kind of the same composition, and that, you know, just creates this equal fight, but then the enemy having the slight advantage, of course, because they still have the defender's positioning advantage. You still have the respawn advantage, of course, so you can kind of keep trickling in, or do a quick regroup after getting one pick and then going in with a numbers advantage. But unfortunately that didn't really occur, and yeah. I think that's basically the biggest thing to walk away with this. So yeah, general advice: identify the weakness in the enemy comp. What can help out with this, to be a little bit more quicker with this, is by making a strategy guide for each map. Actually, you can just, you know, write down what composition you're gonna run, and then in what composition you're gonna switch into if the enemy is running this, or if the enemy is running that. You can just kind of type it all out for yourself, and then it gives your team a little bit more room to kind of be thinking on the fly, as well as you know, already being prepped. So you're gonna have more time overall, and everybody's gonna know what's gonna happen as soon as they walk into something specifically, and how you plan to deal with it. You can start out with just 1 or 3 maps, of course, and then slowly build on that, and then just try to really play those 3 maps whenever you scrim, or maybe a couple of more maps. Who knows how many you want to play. But yeah, just a lower number of maps. It doesn't have to be all of them, and then slowly work your way up to getting more and more maps available to you, and knowing how you want to play those maps. So yeah, that could really help with that. Combine ultimates a little bit better, of course. The Grav, it was very easy to use it, or try to use it with the Reaper ult, or Coalescence, or the Rotocult. And also targeting the same people was something we're kind of missing here. So yeah, that was all the advice I really have for you guys. I hope it helps. I'm gonna close this video down right now, and I'm gonna hop into the next one straight after this. And yeah, I hope to see you guys then. See you soon, or later. Have a good one if you're watching this on YouTube. Bye bye.